Today is going to be a simple three-step way to make the retrospective, the sprint retrospective or iteration retrospective, three very critical steps that we need to follow to make our sprint retrospective efficient and effective. So let's get straight into it. Let me share the screen. Give me just 1 second here. Slideshow. Okay, sprint retrospective in 3 simple steps. So let's get to the first one. What is the first one? The sprint retrospective. The first one is collaboration. The dev team discuss the last sprint. So what is collaboration? Collaboration is to make sure that all the team members are interacting without any reservations. They openly talk about. Due to their communication, they build trust. So that is where we want to get to. So initially, when we kick off the sprint retrospective, it is good to have some kind of icebreaker. What is icebreaker? It can be, so let's say like people are coming from maybe the dev team was working on something that is very critical. They may be doing paired programming, they may be doing team programming, they may be working with the QA team. So they're all coming from, maybe some other development team is coming after finishing an one-on-one meeting with their manager or anything like that. So in this situation, icebreaker is to make sure that everybody is in a playful mode, everybody is in a collaborative mode, and everybody is willing to openly talk about the issues or the all the good achievements that we just did in the sprint that we just completed, if we met our sprint goals. So everybody needs to open up. So basically, icebreaker can be playing any kind of a game or just having some team fun discussion. So icebreaker can be playing a game, having more communication, just more of a collaboration to make sure that everybody is in the same mental frame to open up and discuss actively about the sprint that we just completed. So let's get to and then make sure that celebrate the wins and accomplishments. Let's say if the sprint we just completed, we actually met the sprint goal and everything was good. There was some good feedback from the demo. Make sure the team celebrated. That is first and foremost, to make sure that team celebrates their wins and accomplishments, even though it may not be very big, even though the team might not have actually completely achieved their sprint goal. We still need to celebrate, because keep in mind that the dev team and everybody involved, the sprint might be very short. It can be just two weeks or anything like that, right? In that situation, everybody is very busy with coding, testing, interacting with the architect, different meetings and everything. So at least in the sprint retrospective, we need to make sure that there is some kind of celebration of the win, even if it is small. We need to celebrate. That's very important. And people are interested to be participating in this retrospective, right? And the next one we have here is get to know the team better. So even during the retrospective, we can talk about who is working on what and who is more familiar with what. Is there any resources that other team members can leverage? So, and then get to know the team better, like what is going on in their personal lives. Anything can be shared, which makes it more interactive, more active, and more interesting for all the team members. Get to know them. Make sure we build trust. Next one is make sure to build trust, because we should not talk bad about anyone. Make sure that we're only talking about something that is constructive. Even though the sprint didn't go well, our discussion should be towards building trust, away from finger pointing, no finger pointing. Make sure that whatever we are discussing is not like criticizing a particular person for something they didn't do, even though it can be briefly mentioned, because dev team is going to mention, but as a scrum master or whoever is driving the sprint retrospective, they need to make sure that they're driving that discussion away from criticism or finger pointing towards something constructive action items that can be derived out of that. So that is very important. And now address wins and challenges. We have to address the wins as well as the challenges. We can have a retro without action item. Let's say the team is very experienced, they have been doing really good, and the burn down chart looks good, the sprint goal is achieved. So we can have a retro or two without any action items, but it will be more used towards team collaboration, building trust, better communication, celebrating the wins, and those kind of things. So the first and foremost, like how we discussed, it is to collaborate between the team members, right? Let's get to the second point in the retrospective. The second step is capture action items. This is the most important right after collaboration. So how do we capture action items? That is, we have sprint retrospective. We can use Mural, Miro. There are a lot of tools that we can use. So they have questions like what went well, what needs to improve. I'm not going into too much in details because that can be another presentation. This is purely a simplified and effective way to conduct a retrospective. So I'm not going into details, but if you're not aware, you can put that in the comments and then I can give you more details on that. But here, capturing action items is basically, we use any kind of specific template to capture what went well, what didn't go well, what needs improvement. Out of that discussion, we get to capture action items. So let's say we have 5 action items that we captured. Now, in the upcoming sprint, we cannot implement all the 5 of them because the team will be overburdened, acting on all the 5 action items. So we need to prioritize. So we just can do a voting. If it's only 1 or 2, then you don't need to vote. But otherwise, if it's like more than 3 or 4, please make sure that it is prioritized. The action items that we captured has to be prioritized. If the team just want to work on one of the most important action items in the upcoming sprint, we just need to make sure in terms of priority, we identify which is the most important action item to be acted on, right? Action item, and the next point we have here is action item can be adding new ones or removing existing ones. For example, I'll tell you what is the example of removing existing one. Is like the team, the development team is attending a lot of meetings that they don't actually have to. So they're spending a lot of time away from coding and testing. So that can be counterproductive. In that situation, the team identifies that, okay, we don't need to attend this and this and these meetings. We only need to attend, like, for example, once in architectural meeting or something like that. We don't need to spend time attending all these meetings. So it can be removing an action, removing something they're already doing. So in that case, the action item could be to not attend this and these meetings, right? So the point here is that the action items can be something that they want to do, or the action items can also be something they want to stop to do going forward, right? So it can be either of them. So that is the second one, is to capture the action items. The first one, just a reminder, first one is to make sure that you collaborate as a team. The second one is to capture the action items. And the third one here is add action items to the upcoming sprint. Now, as you might have noticed already, most of the time when they come forward and say that they don't want to participate in a sprint retrospective is because many of the sprint retrospectives, they capture the action items, but they don't act on it. So what happens? The team noticed that, okay, we captured action item last time. We captured action item in the retrospective before that. We captured action items in the last month's meeting, but we never acted on it. So they lose their interest in coming for the sprint retrospective. So this is the most important point that I have noticed in my career. Many of the Scrum masters or whoever is conducting the sprint retrospective miss to do, because once they capture the action item, they forget about it. As a result, the team loses interest in the retrospective. So here, add the action item to the upcoming sprint board. So if you have like a board that is capturing all the items that is to be worked on in the next sprint, the sprint retrospective is of no value if action items are not tracked. Create improvement stories. These stories that are created to capture the action items in a sprint retrospective is called improvement stories. This can also be another interview question. Sometimes they ask you, like, how do you capture the action items and how do you act on it, right? So create improvement stories, just like any other story that you have. So let's say we prioritize and capture 2 action items. Please create a story, or it can also be just a task. You don't necessarily need to assign points to it. The main thing is that during your daily sprint, we need to remind the team and check the progress of the action item that we captured in the retrospective. Because if the sprint retrospective has to be efficient, it has to have collaboration, number one. Second one is make sure to capture the action items. And the third one is add action items to the sprint board and make sure that you take action on the action items that was captured. If you have any questions that you need me to answer regarding sprint, agile, technology questions about business analyst, about development, anything, feel free to drop a comment below the video and I will make sure that I will create a very good video for you. And please make sure that you subscribe, because it gives me the motivation to create new videos. It keeps me motivated when I see that people are actually getting benefit out of what I'm creating, and I make sure that I will create useful content for you that no one else is actually creating. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time, and I will talk to you in the next video. Bye now.